Hey everybody, welcome to the workshop. In today's episode, we're going to be building a crosscut sled. Now, I have decided instead of just trying to build my own, which I've done before in the past, or getting plans, which would have been cheaper, I went ahead and bought one from another YouTuber called King's Fine Woodworking. And I'm not affiliated with him. He doesn't know I'm alive. I bought this with my own money. And I really liked what I saw with this. And it has a lot of different features to it, especially the fact that it's got an adjustable mouth on there, so that way I could make 90-degree cuts, and I could also make 45s with the same crosscut sled instead of having to make multiples to do this. So, and it also has a few other features too, so if you need to crosscut, say, a longer piece, you can actually take the front fence of it off. It also has extra pieces also for making miters, like for picture frames as well. So I thought this right here really checked off pretty much all the boxes that I had. Another reason why I decided to do this also was because if I would have bought the plans, then that means I've got to source the materials. And yes, with the internet, we have a plethora of places and things that we can buy. But I have found that with that plethora of things and places to buy, it can actually be more difficult to source all the components that you need. So with this, it comes with everything. So it was a little bit more expensive, but then by the time I end up buying all the materials, sourcing all the hardware, all the components that I need, getting them shipped to me, you know, the price is going to continue to go up the more I do it. So this way, it makes it a lot easier for me. So today, we're going to get to putting this together and getting it set up. So follow along with me today on Adam's Workshop. First step in the process is we're going to unbox this, get everything sorted out so we can see everything, figure out what's what, and make sure all the pieces are there. So let's get to it. We got a 5-inch digital angle finder. This right here I think is for whenever you do the like picture frame miters. Bag of hardware. One of the stops. T-track, and not only have they already got everything taken care of, but they also have got like the nutserts in here already, so that's nice too. I don't have to try to go find the hardware, get it installed. Looks like it's also been epoxied in also to help keep them in, so that's nice. Stop block board. This is one of the throat plate inserts. It's just what I'm calling it, and it's adjustable, so you'll have the screws go into here and you'll have the second one here, and you can slide them back and forth. And here's the other one. So you can slide them back and forth so you can have a 90-degree cut, spread it apart for a 45-degree cut. Like I said, this is one of the big selling points for me on this. Your miter slot guide rails. And they've used shredded up cardboard too for the packing. Trying to keep it clean in here, and it's not working out so well. Piece of acrylic. Safety box. They have stamped some of the names of what some of the pieces are on here, which is really nice because you get just a square piece of wood here, and you're like, okay, what is that? Another nice thing about what they have here is it's not just basic plywood. It's the Baltic birch plywood is the type that he uses as well. So that way it's the gold standard of plywood, at least for now, until somebody else decides to come up with something better. But right now it's the gold standard, so that's nice. Sled base parts, outside board, safety box again. Another nice thing about this Cross Cut Sled too is, and other people have done this as well, this is not unique to this one, you've got the safety box, so that way here at the back, when you're pushing it forward, you got this box right here that as the blade is now protruding out, it still gives you an extra bit of safety in there as well. So that is really, really good in my opinion. Picture showing what each one of the components is. Looks like it gives you a little bit of detail on how to do stuff, and also a hardware page as well. And they do have a video showing how to assemble this too. So if you buy one and you need some help, they've got a really good video on YouTube. Actually, I think they got a couple of videos on it. It says miter blade, I think. It's kind of hard to read that. Upper board, safety box. Got all those pieces now. Sled base bottom, upper outside board, mounting board. Another nice thing too is, since it's set up to be able to do picture frames and everything, they actually provide the ruler as well. So, and he's already got holes drilled out as well and countersunk for the screws, so that way you can mount it down. Very nice. Once again, I don't have to try to go and source this. This right here is what he uses to build this, and it's right here. I don't have to go looking for it. This is also one of the adjustable pieces on the back. So on the back fence, you can sit there and bring it in and out as well, just like you can the throat plates as well. So really nice. So we got quite a few pieces here, and so now I'm going to take a look at the instructions and see about everything, and we will get to work putting it together. Okay, now we're ready to get started. I've prepped the table saw with some wax paper so that way we don't make a mess. So we're going to glue up the base first. right, now I'll come back and get started on the next part as soon as this is dried. Okay, while we're waiting on the base to dry, we'll go ahead and assemble our safety box. This is where, when you're pushing it through, the blade is now sticking out and you're having to be over a little bit. So this box gives the blade a place to be inside of, so that way it helps to protect you a little bit more when you're leaning over. And the way he shows to assemble it is the front and the back are going to be inside of the sides. So it's going to be a little bit wider than it is longer than it is wide. And then there is the piece of acrylic that will go on top of it. The glue's been setting up for a few hours, so I think it's perfectly okay to go ahead and go to the next process. So once I get these off, we're going to install the front fence, and which is using these T-track and bolts and the knobs. Then once we put that on, we're going to flip it over, and then we're going to actually screw in from the bottom. All right, now we've got the front fence secured, and the cool thing about this front fence is designed to be able to come off, but for right now it's got to be on there. So now we've got to get the back fence on, and the way that he shows to get the back fence on is to line it up. Now I'm guessing that they've changed it since they initially came out with it, because they had a little block of wood over here that fit inside of here with a little knob that you could take out, so whenever you decided to use the picture frame ability on this thing, which the ruler is going to stick way out. So my guess is they've either just decided to do away with it, maybe not enough people actually had that on there, so I don't know that it really makes that big of a difference. However, the way he showed it before to line it up is to have equal spacing on each side, but that's not possible here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the inside width here and the inside here and get that right there centered up the best I can, and then make it flush on the back. And so now what we're going to have to do is drill more pilot holes. We're going to drill just 2 this time instead of drilling a bunch, to make sure that front is extremely secure, we're going to do two, because we're going to have one in, and then the other one is going to end up being a pivot for us for when we go to get this thing dialed in for square. So that's what I'm going to do next. Okay, the next thing to do is we've got the miter bars, and now we have to get the miter bars fitted to the miter slots. So it's just going to be a matter of putting it in here, doing little wiggles, and then tightening up these little set screws in order to make sure that we get a good, clean, smooth motion with this, but we don't have any wobble in it. Mine doesn't really have much to begin with, although at the back side and the front side of my miter slots here, it is a little stuck. I've already filed on this one right here just a little bit on both sides to be able to get it to run smoothly, but I've got a little bit of work to do on the back side, and once I get that done, then I'll go to this one. And as I do this, I'm essentially just fitting this miter bar to this miter slot. So I'm going to keep this one on this side. Once I get this one fitted to this side, it's going to stay over here as well. So that's my next thing to do. All right, we're ready for the next step. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be attaching the miter bar runners to the sled itself. So how we're going to do that is we're going to take a couple of the washers that come in the kit, and we're going to put these down inside the miter slot and put the miter bar inside there. What these are doing is just holding it just above the surface of the table saw, so that way when we put it onto it, it will sit on these and not directly on the table saw. Now, the one thing he suggests is to set the back of it in about 3 inches. It's not going to hurt anything if it's a little bit off, but this is what he suggests. And he also just suggests setting your fence to 15 7/8. He says that no matter what your table saw is, and I believe him, that is going to be the middle of it. So we want to have the middle of where the kerf is going to be right in the dead center of the miter slot, of the sled, I mean. So how we're going to do this is I've got CA glue, and we're going to put some drops along here. Okay, you don't want to gob it up, because if you ever want to change this out, you may not be able to if you put too much on. So now, I'm going to take the sled, put it up against the fence, like so, get it set up to about the flush with the back of the table saw here, and we're just going to put it down on top of it. right, the next thing to do is we're going to glue the little safety box on. And in his video, he went ahead and glued the little Lexan top on there and then puts it up here. But I'm going to do it this afterwards, because I'm going to do is set this up against here, and I'm going to use CA glue, and this way I can hold on to it a little bit easier by doing it this way. So I'm going to put some CA glue on it. I'm just using thick CA. And I'm going to use some accelerator on here. And we just hold on to it for a few seconds until it bonds, which with the accelerator doesn't take very long. All right, that's bonded pretty good. Now we're going to take off one side of this, and now we're going to glue this onto here. So I was trying to put the adjustable throat plates in on the back as well, and the bolts that he's provided are too long. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my bandsaw here to cut them up, cut them off, and then I'm going to round off the edges so that way they'll thread back in. Everything has gotten built for the main base, and there's 3 more things left to go. One of them is there's a big triangle that goes on here for doing picture frames. I don't build picture frames. Maybe I will in the future, but for right now, it's not something that I've been doing. So I'm going to skip that portion for now. So I've got 2 more things to do, which is to install this T-track on the top for the little stop, and there's also the digital angle finder right here that I can install, so that way if I need to make angled cuts I can do it with this. So first things first, we're going to install the T-track here. So I'm just going to use one of the little pieces of wood here to butt up against it, and I'm just going to put it right up against here. Some of the little stop blocks like this will be able to stick out so you can have a sacrificial fence. This is not that style, so it needs to actually be right up against the flush against the face of this, so that way it'll sit correctly whenever you put it down. So I'm just going to have it evened up as good as I can here and hold it with my hands and just go ahead and start the first screw. Okay, it's on there, it's rock solid, and I think that's going to work pretty well. Now, for the next thing is going to be for the angle finder. And the first thing that we have to do in this plate right here is to make a mark so that way it can sit in the T-track. There's a bolt and then another one of these knobs to tighten it down. So for that, the instructions say it's 3.5 inches from the bottom up and then 6 1/8 inches over. So and the instructions say it's going to be a 1/4 inch bit, or a 1/4 inch hole rather. Okay, next thing we're going to do is take the angle finder itself, put it down up against here, and I've got a block of wood here that I'm going to use as a reference to butt it up against here, and then another piece that actually came with it on here to reference here. So make sure it's nice and snug. That's how it's going to be. Now, to attach the angle finder to the block of wood, I'm just going to use CA glue and maybe a little activator. Now for the next step is going to be, let's see, I think these are the same size, yep. So next we're going to take this piece of wood and we're going to attach it to the upper side of the angle finder, then like so, and then after that, we want it to be flush with the side as well, so I'll use the other piece to butt up against there to make sure it's right. Then after that, once the glue has set on here, then we're going to put this piece in this position right up against the other piece of wood like so, and then we're going to glue this with CA as well. Checking just to make sure that everything works nice and smooth. Just making a little mark on the top here so I know where to put my glue at. Now the angle finder is on there and working, so now I just need the bolt. And now I can cut angles with this thing, so pretty cool. So that is ready. Stop block is ready, my clamp is ready. I'm ready to start making cuts. So the last thing that would be to do on this would be to square it up. Now this right here, if I can find there, I've got my woodpecker's square here, so that way I can trust that I've got a good 90, and I've already gone through off camera and did the work to try to get this squared up. There's different ways that you can do this. Me personally, I kind of took the down and dirty method. So I took my square, put it up against the blade, and then put it up against the fence, and then made my adjustment that way. So as far as whether it worked or not, there is no light coming through there from either direction. So I've got myself a good square reference from the face of the fence to the face to the side, to the right side of the blade is how I did it from looking at it this way. So everything is looking pretty good right now. So I'm really looking forward to getting to use this sled. I hope this video helped you. Go check out King Fine Woodworking. Like I said, this is not sponsored. He has no idea who I am, so this is just my thoughts. I've already gotten to make, like I say, the cut on here. The thing is working good as far as reviewing it. Everything is nice and solid. I like the fact that he uses the Baltic birch plywood, and it's got everything that I need to do what it is that I want to do, and also the extra, which I'm not showing here because, like I said, I don't do picture frames, but I'm really looking forward to it. And as to one of the main reasons why I did this is because it's got the adjustable plates on here, so that way you've got the zero clearance, whether I'm doing 90-degree cut or a 45-degree cut, which is a big reason. Like I say, I chose this because in the past I had to create two sleds, one for 90 and one for 45, and I wanted one that could do both. And so with having the adjustable plates on here, it gives me that ability with just a single sled. Plus, I can also go through and take out the screws on the bottom of this and just use these T-bolts right here, and I can actually take the front of the fence off. So if I actually have a larger part that I need to cut, it actually gives me even more capability to do. So I'm really happy with it. I'm really looking forward to it. If you found this video helpful, please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see y'all again next time in the workshop.